Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. The countdown to the April 13th general election is our starting point tonight. A two-day-long early voting period came to an end earlier today. It was the first time Korea's election watchdog adopted an early voting system for the general election. Our Ji Myung-gil starts us off.
Korea's two-day early voting period for next week's general election came to a close on Saturday at 6 p.m. Korea time. The turnout was just shy of 12.2%, achieving a record not seen since the early voting system was first adopted in 2013. The National Election Commission says 5.1 million out of 42.1 million eligible voters cast their ballots at some 3,500 polling stations nationwide over the past 2 days. If voters cast their ballots in their electoral districts, the ballots will be stored until 6 p.m. on the actual election day, April 13th. If they voted outside their electoral districts, their ballots will be mailed to their home districts. By region, Jeollanam-do Province in the southwest had the highest turnout of nearly 19%, followed by Jeollabuk-do Province with 17.3%. Seoul had a turnout of 11.6%, while Korea's second-largest city, Busan, had the lowest turnout of under 10%. Political analysts had expected the overall voter turnout to reach 15%, but the relatively high rate will serve as a key variable in the upcoming election, as many voters have yet to choose a candidate in their electoral districts. In past general elections, overall turnout has usually hovered around the 50% range. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
And staying with the election, Korea's major political parties canvassed Seoul and its surrounding Gyeonggi-do Province on Saturday, looking to sway the minds of undecided voters. Kim Moo-sung, chairman of the ruling Saenuri Party, visited the cities of Yongin, Bundang and Songnam in Gyeonggi-do Province. In past elections, those cities have tended to strongly support the Liberal bloc. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea's interim leader, Kim Jong-un, stumped for his party's candidates in Seoul and urged active voter participation. And Chol-soo, co-leader of the fledgling minor opposition People's Party, also canvassed around Seoul and other metropolitan areas, stressing that his party is the only alternative to the country's long-held two-party system. Seoul and Gyeonggi-do Province are the biggest battleground regions in the election, accounting for 122 National Assembly seats, almost half of the 253 constituencies up for grabs. In other news, North Korea claims to have successfully conducted a ground test of a new engine for an intercontinental ballistic missile. The country's state-run Korean Central News Agency said Kim Jong-un issued an order to conduct a jet test of a new type of high-power ICBM engine and personally came to the Sohae Space Center to oversee the test. The agency said the new engine would guarantee North Korea's ability to launch a nuclear strike on the US mainland. Now, it's not possible to verify the claims, but South Korea admitted this week that North Korea's missile program had made significant advancements in recent months. Reacting to the report out of North Korea, the US State Department said Pyongyang should refrain from actions and rhetoric that further destabilize the region and focus instead on taking steps towards fulfilling its commitments and international obligations. U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter says the deployment of a new U.S. missile defense system to South Korea is going to happen. Speaking in New York, Carter also called on China to do more to counter North Korea's missile development rather than complain about U.S. plans to deploy the terminal high-altitude area defense system. Beijing has raised its opposition to the THAAD deployment on numerous occasions, arguing that it would undermine its strategic deterrent. Carter said the system is necessary to protect U.S. forces on the Korean Peninsula and to protect South Korea itself. Washington and Seoul began talks on the possible deployment of the THAAD system after North Korea conducted its fourth nuclear test in early January and launched a long-range missile around 1 month later. It has emerged that the 13 North Koreans who recently defected as a group to South Korea came to the country via Southeast Asia. A source says they escaped while working at a restaurant in China and entered South Korea through an unidentified Southeast Asian country. Seoul's Unification Ministry announced Friday that the North Koreans, 1 man and 12 women, defected, but it did not reveal details about the location of the restaurant they worked at or how the group came to the south. The ministry said it wanted to avoid sparking a diplomatic rift with China and was acting in the defectors' best interests and their security. The United Nations Food Agency says an estimated 2 billion people eat insects worldwide, and the edible insect industry is expected to double in size by the year 2050. Korea is also jumping in to invest more in what may become the food of the future. Kim Hae-sung has the details.
Patients eating pudding served by the hospital. It looks like any other pudding, but it's actually made with worms. The worms contain large amounts of protein and are known to help patients recover faster. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, a 100-gram grasshopper contains 21 grams of protein, close to the 26 grams provided by an equivalent amount of lean beef. Insects are also high in calcium and iron and are more efficient to raise than livestock. 100 kilograms of food for a cow produces 6.5 kilograms of meat for consumption, while the same amount of food for insects produces 54 kilograms. With the world population expected to reach 9 billion by 2050, the edible insect business holds a promising future. The Korean government is cashing in on the potential with a 5-year plan to dramatically increase investment in the industry.
We will work harder to develop a variety of dishes made with ingredients like beetles and crickets and create a sustainable market through promotions and advertisements.
Currently, there are 5 insects the government says are safe to eat. A handful of restaurants are serving them in dishes like pasta, soup, and cookies throughout Seoul. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Now, the Belgian government has praised the country's security forces after they arrested a key suspect linked to the Islamist attack in Paris last November. Belgium's interior minister tweeted his congratulations after Mohamed Abrini and 4 others were detained by police in Brussels. Investigators are still trying to establish whether the suspect was also involved in the deadly bombings last month in the Belgian capital. Abrini had been placed on Europe's most wanted list in the aftermath of the November 13 attacks. In Paris, the 31-year-old Belgian had been seen on CCTV in a car with Salah Abdeslam in the days before the terror attacks in the French capital. The US aerospace company SpaceX has successfully landed a rocket on an ocean platform after 4 previous attempts failed. Mission controllers cheered as the rocket landed upright on the platform off the coast of Florida. A live video feed broadcast on NASA TV showed the rocket booster, its 4 landing legs extended, descending over the ocean before settling itself upright on the platform roughly 8 minutes after it was launched into space. Now, SpaceX has managed to set a rocket down on land before, but previous ocean attempts had failed. The rocket came close each of the previous times, but either crashed or tipped over. And NASA says global warming is now changing how the Earth wobbles. In a study published in the journal Science Advances, NASA says melting ice sheets, especially in Greenland, are changing the distribution of weight on Earth. And because of this, the wobble, which is called polar motion, has changed course. But don't worry that much, because scientists say the shift is harmless. It is, however, meaningful, as NASA says it highlights how real an impact humans are having on our planet. Hongdo Island in Korea's southwest is known for its well-preserved natural land and seascapes. Since the entire island has been declared a natural monument, though, people only have extremely limited access to the area. But now there is a way to experience the beauty of the island, but you have to do so from afar. Park Se-young has more.
Hongdo Island is located southwest of the port city of Mokpo in the West Sea. The tiny island is about half the size of Dokdo, but is the breeding ground for tens of thousands of black-tailed gulls and is home to over 140 marine species. The island was declared a natural monument in 1982, and since then, the general public has only been allowed in the villages and designated tourist areas. And since many parts of the island have been untouched for over 3 decades, the natural environment has been well preserved. Now, to give the public a chance to see the restricted areas, the Korea National Park Service has created a virtual reality tour of the island. From the seagulls descending from the sky and the unmanned lighthouse on the shore to a host of marine life in the ocean, the VR tour provides visitors with a close look at the island. The service was created to promote environmental awareness.
With the virtual experience service, even people with time or physical limitations can explore the island's vivid scenery and ecosystem.
The service is available on the National Park Service's website and can be enjoyed either on a computer or smartphone. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, before we go, we are going to take a brief look at the weather for this weekend, and it is an overcast night. The overnight low will dip to 8 degrees Celsius in Seoul, and unfortunately, skies over Seoul and much of the central region are pretty polluted tonight. There are high levels of fine dust, so do take the necessary precautions if you are heading out tonight. Sunday will be fairly mild with a decent amount of sunshine, and the high is going to reach a rather nice 18 degrees Celsius here in the capital, and similar conditions are in store for the rest of the week as well. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news and enjoy the rest of your weekend wherever you are watching us. Goodbye.